Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first episode of Next Week Tonight, the news comedy show based on future events as perfectly predicted by an infinite team of typewriting cats. This week's episode focuses on North Korea, home of the world leader in projectile dysfunction, Kim Jong himself. But before we get into things, our sponsor for this episode is Rule34Rules.com. Are you a lonely, horny, experimental piece of shit? Does Pornhub no longer fill the void in your soul created by years of chronic masturbation and a lack of real partners? If so, you'd probably prefer titles such as Lola Rabbit plays basketball, Ben Tentacle his step cousin, and rocks getting their rocks off, and more, all on Rule34Rules.com, where if you can think of it, they have porn of it. Moving on. As we all know from this past week, North Korea has been putting out more propaganda than usual in its ongoing effort to hide the country's famine of roughly 30 years. Just yesterday, the internet was flooded with news articles describing how, according to a study done by the North Korean government, China is the happiest country in the world, followed closely behind by, you guessed it, North Korea. Now, this is nothing new, but according to Cat 9001, next week's propaganda will take things to a whole new level. 9001's article details the country's plans to leak images and footage of Jong Kimmel being abducted by actual fucking aliens. Upon their ship, the aliens will probe the all-powerful rim job oof to download his greatness before conducting diplomatic negotiations. According to the aliens themselves, North Korea is the first civilization worth contacting since ancient Egypt, and now that a worthy people have arisen once more, they must rule the world. At this point, you wouldn't be alone in thinking of Jim Kong as a worldwide troll, but the leaked footage will take a dark turn when the aliens describe how this will go down. An advanced ray of some kind will be used to direct an enormous solar flare at Earth. After the world goes dark, the great nation will be able to use its superior EMP-guarded nukes and targeting systems to take over the world. This would still be funny if the real implications weren't that properly preparing for a solar flare is a great way to expand one's borders. It's clearly something that's been on the North Korean government's mind, and while I'd like to tell you that there is something you and I could do to help or prepare, there isn't. Unless you're in the 1%, of course, then nothing I cover will ever affect you. Thanks for joining us. Please donate. As for the rest of us down here in the squalor, we just need to accept that we're floating in waves created by whales much bigger than we'll ever be. This has been Next Week Tonight. Please join us in a week for more existential crises we can never hope to solve. Good night, everyone.